became the president of Ekurhuleni High School. That's where I completed my matric in 2022. And I think you might remember the incident that trended of that school when they were smoking dach.
Oh, okay.
I was part of the 36 plus pupils on that day. That's where the change came about.
Good day, South Africa, and welcome to the Afro Talk show. My name is Obakeng, the boy from the East, representing the East all the way from Sprayview. And today I have a very, very important guest, a very man of excellency, a prominent person, His Excellency President Nceba Ngwenya of the Ekurhuleni Parliament. Mungameli.
Sure.
Morning, Commander. How are you? Mr. President, can you tell us who Nceba Ngwenya is and the story behind the come up of His Excellency?
Sure. Nceba Ngwenya is a 21-year-old formerly born in the East.
Yeah.
Currently running an organization called the Ekurhuleni Parliament. It's a civil organization that has nothing to do with any political parties, but we do work with political parties. The aim of the organization is to ensure that we have unity within our communities, because what we have then done is that these political parties have created a big drift between our families and homes. Because we have families today that don't have dinner together because the other one supports ANC, the other one supports EFF, forgetting that the mission is just the same. So that's what I'm currently doing. My dad is a pastor. My mother is a pastor as well. So I was brought up in a Christian home. So my parents were very shocked when I ventured into politics. But I normally say politics for me is not a job, it's not a career, it's a lifestyle. It's something that I was born for, something that I can't run away, it's purpose. So that's who Nceba Ngwenya is.
So, since you say you grew up from a very religious family,
Sure.
and in what you do, how can you say you being religious and growing up in a very God-fearing family have
Sure.
you actually put into this organization? How can you say it's actually also helping drive this whole thing?
The roots of my upbringing
Yeah.
are all about biblical principle and moral.
Yeah.
And when you check and analyze the biblical essence of lifestyle and being alive, it's in tune with the South Africa that we hope to achieve at some point.
Okay.
What I mean by that, we hope to see a South Africa of young girls not being pregnant, of young girls
Yes.
having dignity. That's the same religious, biblical, moral system that I was brought under. And that gives me motivation as to when I have a conversation with a young girl that is 15 years old, I'm able to say, give value to your body. Your body is of value. I don't always need to reference to the biblical essence because we're not all Christians. I have to understand that.
Exactly.
But we all can relate to the fact that we all need to have principle and moral. So this is how my upbringing has affected me running Ekurhuleni Parliament.
Okay, no, it's actually understandable, and I like what you said. It's actually more, it's comfortable for everyone to actually refer and come and relate to what you're doing, and
Sure.
it's really a good thing. So with Ekurhuleni Parliament, how long have you guys been at this?
So Ekurhuleni Parliament has been existing for the past 4 years, but I was only the president last year, and that's when we registered. So there was an interim structure until I was appointed as president. Immediately after I went into office, from this 15th of March, I registered the organization, created a bank account, and had all the necessary documents so that we can run as a proper structure. The intention is to go corporate as an organization. We don't want to be funded, we want to be a self-sustaining organization, so that we will move away from being bribed, bought, and our ideology is changing at some point.
Okay. So before I touched the main issue of today's show, you becoming president, can you tell us how has that made you feel, and what have you learned so far?
Well, leadership has always been in my upbringing and growing up. Right? I come from a family of a pastor, being a leader. So I was a leader at some point in Sunday school. I was the class rep, became the class rep in primary at some point, and then I became the president of Ekurhuleni High School. That's where I completed my matric in 2022. And I think you might remember the incident that trended of that school when they were smoking dach.
Oh, okay.
I was part of the 36 plus pupils on that day. That's where the change came about. And that's when I joined World Changers Candidates. I was an ambassador, still is an ambassador for World Changers Candidates. Until to date, I've always been put in a place of leadership. And my biggest fear is that I don't want to be different from the ordinary person. I always want to be just a nobody.
Yeah.
My hope is just to be a nobody, but because of the nature of my job, it sometimes becomes difficult to be just a nobody.
Okay.
So it really has been uncomfortable for me because I come from a family where you need to be very humble at all times at all points. So, but it has been a blessing in disguise, I must say, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity.
Okay.
And more opportunities to come.
So I see from what you just told me, so I believe Nceba has been someone who's actually had leadership traits.
Sure.
So now, which is actually good. We actually have, looking up to leaders, we actually have this ground from them. It's like a foundation for them. It's like it's something we are going to look forward to.
Sure.
And I appreciate that. So it's Youth Month, and 2024 covers 48 years.
Sure.
Since the youth of 1976 was marching in the fight of educational inequality. So what you can tell me is, Mungameli, what are the changes that have occurred since the 1976 march?
Well, the only change that I see from my
Yes.
perspective, and this is a very exciting conversation for me
Yeah.
because I will march on the 16th of June.
Okay.
So the only changes that I've seen is the enemy that the youth of today is fighting against. But in terms of progress, there is no progress within the youth of today. What I mean by that, 1976, the youth of that time was fighting against the apartheid government, which was killing a number of young people at that time.
Yes, true.
Today, the greatest and biggest enemy that we have is drug abuse and addiction, right? And it's killing way more young people than the apartheid government could ever kill, right?
True.
So that's the only difference. The enemy has changed.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. But in terms of progress, I do not see progress.
So in terms of not seeing progress, what do you think the youth can actually, or maybe you as a movement, as the Ekurhuleni Parliament, what changes or things can you implement for the changes to be there?
So in any problem, I think the first thing we need to understand is that it's always a psychological and emotional thing. The first thing we need to do is go back to the family structures, fix the family structures. If the family structures are broken, automatically individuals in society are broken. So which affect our communities, our province, our cities, our nation at large. Hopefully, what I hope to achieve by the end of this year is having programs in every community whereby, remember back in the olden days in our monarch systems, there used to be that old lady that would instill principle in our young boys, young girls.
Yeah.
Have the same system. Every after school, we know that young people meet at a certain location and we have conversations about who we are and what we hope to achieve. Because the biggest problem is that if you don't know who you are, you malfunction into who you're not.
Yeah, it becomes a problem to see who's going.
Sure.
I see.
So that's what we hope to achieve at some point.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest wish, I must say.
Okay.
Sure.
So seeing and knowing that Ekurhuleni is actually a song of meaning of a place of peace.
Yes.
So as the president of the parliament,
sure,
of the place of peace, what measures do you think the youth of Ekurhuleni can take to keep the peace acclaimed by the place? And what extent can the job done by the youth be deemed a success? In that essence,
sure,
what is your idea of a success mission?
Okay. My idea of a success mission is being able to achieve the goals that we have set, the realistic goals that we have set, right? What I hope the youth of Ekurhuleni can partake in. Remember, I think every community is exposed to CPF, Community Police Force.
Yes.
But you find that in every community within the CPF, it's always ages over 50 and so on. Have young people participate in such programs because then they teach us security is important. And if young people that are also committing these crimes are participating in security law enforcement programs, automatically what happens to the crime rate? It goes automatically down because there's something for the youth. And remember, I always say that not that youth doesn't have activity. We do have a lot of activities. We just choose not to partake in that. How many soccer teams are available in our communities? How many netball teams are there? How many activities are there? Drama, arts, choir, there's a lot. But we choose not to participate in that because as I go back and say, our family systems are broken. Our ideological systems are broken. We need to go back and fix that. And a success mission is seeing families coming back together in unity and not standing in unity just by word of mouth, but in actions. Me being able to protect my fellow sister when she doesn't have shoes. Me being able to protect my fellow grandmother whenever she's coming off a taxi and able to pick up the plastics. That's the tradition and general behavior that we need to go back to.
Okay. Sure. So, touching on that, I see you mentioned the community policing forum actually being more involved with older people. So, how do we send the message to the youth so that they can actually be involved and more participant in these kind of organizations?
I think it also goes back to the SEPs. SEPs needs to have an advertisement program as to that. Come, join the CPF. Here's a uniform. This is what you can start doing. The same way they did with the wardens, the green wardens, through the program of the current premier, Banazan Sufi. We can have the same programs through every SEP station in every community to join in having the youth participate in that. And then we can just change shifts. Maybe 5 can go in on a Monday to Wednesday, the other 5 can go in to Thursday or to Saturday. It doesn't need to be a perfect system when it starts, but the most important part is that we have a start.
So, touching on that, when I'm Mungameli, I want to look back and compare to the youth of now as to the youth of 76.
Sure.
The unity they had, the message they were able to send to the apartheid government in order to actually be listened to in the state of what they were fighting for. But now, coming back to the youth of now, we seem to be as divided and not as united as the youth was before, and we don't have that main purpose that would actually keep us together or something we could work together towards fighting for. So my question is, what can we do to actually fill that gap in the bridge?
Sure. As I always say, is that the previous generation, if they had failed to maintain the unity, automatically that affects the upcoming generations to come. But if us as the youth come together and have programs of communication, expressing love, what I appreciate about every religion and every spiritual traditional culture is that they all preach love in some way. One way or another, we all need to love each other to the best of our ability and appreciate each other in the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Automatically, when I love you the best way I can, there is unity.
See,
Sure.
so that's one of the things maybe we should actually start
Yeah.
looking at is the youth, and I like that. I mean, so recently we just came back from a very it was a hard one because now everyone was looking forward to the changes. We just came back from the election.
Sure.
So now with that, coming back from that, what effect, positive effect from what you've seen? Obviously people have had senses whereby we're fighting corruption,
Sure.
inequality in the education system. So now, what do you think from this election are going to be the positive changes, or are you optimistic with what we actually have gotten from the results?
Well, I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't see any change coming forth. I'll tell you why. Every political party that goes into parliament, they don't represent the people of South Africa. They represent the political parties. They are political parties' employees. I'll give you a practical example. Remember when the president of the current republic, President Cyril Ramaphosa,
Yes.
I don't know whether he will still be the president.
Yeah. But we've just put it as
he was found with a numerous amount of, a big amount in fact, of dollars with him. That's money laundering. He's a criminal.
Yeah.
That's it. The ANC goes to parliament, section 89, the president is about to be impeached. Almost all, in fact all of them except 2 members, say they vote no to impeach the president. Only 2. What that proves is that the political parties will forever protect themselves from the responsibility of being true to our people. What I hope to see in the near future, especially in South Africa, as South Africans, is that I want to see South Africans going to parliament representing communities,
Exactly.
not political parties. Because if someone from Sprayview is failing to represent people from Sprayview correctly, we are able to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
But right now, if an ANC member from Sprayview is doing something wrong, we have to go to ANC, Luthuli House, report that councillor. So the processes in which we are able to serve our people the best way we can are not true. So I don't see any change coming up in this forthcoming elections, especially because look what happened. The DA and the other small parties signed a multi-party chart. Guess what happened? Immediately after election, the DA goes back and goes into discussion with the ANC, while all the multi-party charters discussed and agreed that we want the ANC out of power. So this proves that they are all the same. ANC, EFF, IFP, you name them all, they are all the same because they are all representing political parties. They're not representing
and all they just want to do, you just feel that they're just pushing their own agenda.
Exactly.
So how do you feel like as South Africans we could actually do, what do you feel we can do or implement just to make sure our voices are heard?
The main reason why Ekurhuleni Parliament is called Ekurhuleni is because that means the people of Ekurhuleni are in charge. So what we can then do, we can all participate in organizations like such. It doesn't necessarily have to be Ekurhuleni Parliament.
Yes.
But let's participate in community forums, programs that bring up the benefit and increase the economic benefit of our communities. I always believe that we don't need the government to create jobs.
Okay.
If there's you, me, and whoever else holding in hands, we can always have a better solution to the problem that we have. But the problem is that if we live 10 streets away and your lifestyle is already there and I'm there is no unity to help us in progressing the best way we can.
Okay.
Sure.
So speaking of us being united and job creation working together,
sure,
we actually have a number of graduates who are unemployed.
Sure.
And day by day it keeps on increasing. So what do you think the government can actually do to try at least decrease the unemployment statistics? Yeah.
In my perspective, I don't think the current government there's anything they can do because they've been a government of failure for all these years.
Yeah.
But this is what I believe that the future generation can do, including the graduates that are unemployed. Have economic programs that benefit us. Some of these graduates come from agricultural schools, some of these graduates come from law LLBs, accounting firms and so on. I'm suggesting, why don't we have a cooperation of some sort as young people? Right? We can discuss a name for it. The system doesn't need to be perfect at a go. We can learn as we go, make mistakes, fail as we come forward. But this is what I'm suggesting. How many vacant lands do we have in our community? In just preview, I know of 2 already.
Okay.
That are very big.
Yeah.
Some of them are bigger than the park that we have.
Exactly.
Park.
Yeah.
And in any other community, there's always vacant land.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting, why don't we occupy that land through agriculture
as a community
and start planting there as graduates, right? We can learn.
Yes.
Remember, someone studied agriculture, someone studying finance.
So with a different of skills, actually merging them together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we can then do, the people that are that studied LLB and the law and so on, they draft contracts between the service providers or the retail shops that we have in our communities, like spa. Like there's a spa.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is that we occupy the land, we plant, have an agricultural program. Those that study agriculture can be part of that. The people that labor on that ground can be those that have betrayed our grannies or our grandfathers. It becomes this whole system.
Yeah.
Then, those that studied law can then draft up a contract of some sort, go to SPA, our local SPA in Sprayview, have a contract with them that, okay, this is how much will be supplied to the SPA.
Exactly.
And this is what we want in return. Then those that study finance create a financial system that will be able to benefit everyone that is working on the land. Automatically, that drives away unemployment.
I see. That is really an intention, a very nice and intelligent touch on that. I really like it. And positively, I think it could work. So what we need maybe as us just encourage each other and just put into action, because nothing beats having to act on it. So the quality of education remains questioned, whether the basis of private and public institutions is ideal. What's your take on that? I mean, for someone who actually went to school in your local area.
Sure.
So you actually from your side, you know how it is being in a public and maybe I'd say much appreciated school and so what's your take on that?
Well, it goes back to the inequality that we have in South Africa. And the previous freedom fighters hoped that we venture into an equal society.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we live in a capitalist system. And in a capitalist system, there's always the king of the jungle, there's always those that will be child by the king of the jungle. That's the setup.
Yeah.
But we always need to go back to the truth of the matter. Public schools are always at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Not only with the nature of and the quality of education that is given to the kids, but also to the system around and the environment around them. For example, the teenage pregnancy rate is very high in public schools.
Yeah. And
the teenage pregnancy rate in private schools is close to nothing. Addiction and dropout is high in public schools, but very low in private schools.
And what do you think is that?
It mainly goes back to the environment.
Yeah.
And if the environment is not protected the best way we can, that's what's going to happen. So hence we don't find that. For example, family structures are much more solid and strong in private schools, going back to public schools. In public schools, you can do your survey. I think there's Ikagas Primary School in Australia.
Yeah, we have one, yeah.
You can go there. For example, in one class, you might find that almost close to one child has both parents alive or both parents present. And in a private school, you may find that maybe one child doesn't have both parents. So that family dynamic system already affects the mindset of the child.
Okay, so I see with that environment. So Mungameli, I'm still going to touch on that educational basis.
Sure.
So the term of having us to be practical and theoretical.
Sure.
What would you say about that? Do you think we are more theoretical in the school basis, making it us lacking when it actually has to come to us getting into fields that actually require us to be practical about it?
Well, in my perspective, there's nothing wrong about the theory.
Yeah.
In fact, we need to scratch out the whole theory.
Yeah.
In fact, the theory-based education, there's nothing wrong about that.
Yeah.
But let's theorize things that are important, that can be beneficial to us. The problem is that we are learning about things that we can't use in the future.
Yes.
We are not living in times.
Yes.
So why can't we then implement coding in grade 9 and do away with geography? Why can't we do that? Why can't we educate people on civil engineering at grade 9 and do away with photosynthesis?
Good. That is a good one. That is a good one.
Then you don't need to teach people how to be practical. Already the theory is practical.
Exactly.
That's my perspective.
No,
So I'm not saying the system of theory is wrong. No?
Yeah.
Let's change the theory to be beneficial.
Exactly.
For us.
Yeah, let it be 50-50. Let there be a balance.
Exactly. Let's teach people how to be a bricklayer.
Okay.
So many people don't know that I used to actually be a bricklayer. I used to actually build walls and so on and so on. And that skill set has helped me a lot. Because today I'm able to run my own construction company from that experience. Imagine if 10 of us had that same experience. Imagine what that could happen in the future.
So with that said about this whole thing, we're growing.
Sure.
Technology is advancing.
Sure.
So I want to touch especially, and I could use your point of view on this one. Artificial intelligence, AI.
Sure.
Hey, nowadays, I mean, it's even helping a lot of people. Their essays on exams, varsity students.
Sure.
But now, do you feel, with the rise of it, do you feel as South African youth, especially the unemployed,
Sure.
do you think chances of more vacancies, vacant jobs being there,
Sure.
are there chances?
There is a big chance. I was in Thailand last year, around April. It actually surprised me that some supermarkets there is no individual swiping. Next, there is no. But you just go there, you just swipe, pay, and then you're out.
Yeah, and then you're out.
The gate opens for you. That is coming sometime in this country, sooner or later. For example, you see the jobs in some of our supermarkets.
Yeah.
when you have to, especially macro does that. When you done paying, you scan your slip and then you stamp it here. That is going to come to an end at some point because someone is going to create a system whereby when you leave, you just scan your slip and the door opens and you're done. That's 2 jobs lost.
Exactly, yeah.
In one supermarket. And 2 will become 4. 4 will become 8. At some point, it will become 100. Unless we start adapting to the seasons that are changing, then we will have a South Africa that has jobs.
So how do we prepare ourselves as the youth to actually, get to be in par with the growing of these technologies? I mean, how do we actually prepare you as one, just so you know what, this is you right now on your way? So how do we make sure that it doesn't affect you?
Create or be part of systems that are AI based. I hope to, and in fact, right now I'm hoping for an opportunity that will be presented to me of learning how to fly a drone. Because if I learn that skill, I'm able to water plants without using a mere horsepower.
Yeah.
So that's one, for example. Be part of systems or programs where you're being taught how to code. For example, create websites, systems. Everyone is forever on their phone. What if you created an app that is able to market for you without having to speak to a certain individual? Imagine what could happen in the corporate space. So what I'm suggesting is that expose yourselves to AI-based projects and be part of that.
So with that ideology you have, Mr. Mungameli, would you be, willing to actually bring about such things, solutions? You can see sometimes we host our education in Daba.
Sure.
So would you actually implement having a technological Indaba or something for the children of Ekurhuleni to actually get to know and learn more about this technological thing? We all have to be technologically knowledgeable because this is what we are going to work with a lot of times.
Well, given the opportunity, sure. I sometimes hope that these corporate businessmen that are making enough money to fund organizations like us can come and say, no, what do you have on the table? What can we do together? I can definitely jump on that opportunity because this is what I would do. I would source companies from Indonesia. I have friends in Indonesia, Thailand, in Sudan that are based in the tech industry and also in the Philippines. I can then abstract that information, fly them over into the country and tell them, okay, we're having a tool camp with our grade 9s.
Yes.
And let's implement this knowledge. Then what happens? Being part of the grade 9, we have maybe people that are between the ages of 18 to 25 that are learning also that, so that when the people from Indonesia and the other countries leave and go back, there's someone to continue the legacy and continue teaching.
Yeah.
If I were to have enough resource and all of that, but when the time is right, definitely.
No, actually, I like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Ngwenya. I'm pretty sure South Africans as well, with what Evie said, we're looking forward to actually seeing more of your work. So now, before I actually close my show, I see you have a Youth Day walk this Saturday. Wanna give me something around that? Tell me more about it.
Sure. So I know for a fact that creating awareness around drug abuse doesn't really solve the problem.
Yes.
But this is what I'm hoping to achieve, especially on Sunday, on the 16th of June, is that I find young people standing together in uniform again, in the first front line, to be able to walk this journey together and say we won't allow substances and addiction anymore within our schools. We are willing to report every drug. All of us know where to find a drug dealer when we want one.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
And why are we not reporting these drug dealers? Maybe because the steps are involved, but there's something called citizens arrest. We can arrest those people and apprehend them to the hands of justice and let the wheels of justice starts grinding. But what I hope to achieve on Sunday is that we find young people standing together in unity in achieving that substances and drug abuse within our communities, within our schools, is an enemy we are willing to defeat the same way we defeated the apartheid government in 1976.
No, we actually wish you good luck on your day, the walk and everything. We actually hope everything actually goes well. The number of people they pull out and you actually achieve your mission basis. Yeah. So before you leave me, Mungameli, is there anything you'd like to give, a message for the youth?
Well, the message to the youth should be that let's stand in unity, let's continue in making sure that the future that we hope for is a possibility. It's not only just a dream. Dreams sometimes do come true. And a better South Africa is a dream, and it's a dream that is willing to be true at some point.
And there you have it, South Africa. Mr. President Nceba Ngwenya. Do join me again as I bring you the hottest and most inspiring information from your boy, Obakeng. Bye, South Africa. See you next time.